After facing virtually no opposition, President Joe Biden easily won the Nevada Democratic primary last night, putting him one step closer to formally securing the party's nomination for an expected rematch this fall against Donald Trump. Challenger Congressman Dean Phillips entered the race too late to even get on the state's ballot, leaving Marianne Williamson as the only other candidate in the contest. The next Democratic primary is scheduled for February 27th in Michigan. Meanwhile, it was a disappointing night in Nevada for Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley. The former South Carolina governor finished behind none of these candidates. That was the choice. None of these candidates in the presidential primary, in which Trump didn't even bother to participate. The outcome in Nevada is now Haley's third consecutive loss in an early state primary contest. Still, her campaign says her results in Nevada won't affect how long she stays in the race, with her focus now aimed at South Carolina and beyond. Trump wasn't on the same ballot as Haley, since he's opted to compete in the Nevada caucuses instead, which are set to take place tomorrow, and puts him on the path to claim all of the state's 26 delegates. The Haley team has been consistent in saying Trump basically rigged the outcome in Nevada and they barely participated. Still, another loss, but one that's probably not going to matter much in the trajectory.
Under none of these candidates, that is who technically won the Republican primary in Nevada last night, with former Governor Nikki Haley coming in a distant second place, despite Trump not even being on the ballot. The Republican primary situation is messy in Nevada, with the party holding a caucus tomorrow night where Mr. Trump will be on the ballot. But this result was a significant rebuke of Haley's campaign, which has vowed to stay in the race through her home state of South Carolina and through Super Tuesday, despite what is an increasingly difficult, if not perhaps impossible, path to the nomination. Haley quickly downplayed the result, noting that the contest was mostly symbolic, with the state's delegates, I guess it basically was symbolic, with the state's delegates being awarded in that more Trump-friendly caucus tomorrow. Let's get to Steve Kornacki. He joins me now from the big board. Steve, what's kind of striking in all of this, right, is this means that more people had to go there voting for somebody that's not Haley than voting for Haley herself. That takes some capital on the part of those folks there. She wasn't playing for any delegates last night, but this is a gut punch for her. Walk us through what happened.
Yeah, no, I think there's no question about it, Peter. I mean, as you mentioned, none of these candidates winning. Now, what is that? Since 1975, that's been a Nevada state law. At the bottom of every ballot is the option. It's basically none of the above, none of these candidates. And typically, that option will get 2, 3, 4%, maybe at best, in an election. Since 1975, when this was instituted in Nevada, if you look at all of the primaries, all of the general elections, all of the offices in Nevada, presidential, Senate, governor, Congress, Secretary of State, all of them. There have been, before last night, there were 5 instances where none of these candidates actually won. So this is only the 6th time that this option has actually won a race in Nevada. And this percentage here, 63%, is by far the highest that none of these candidates has ever gotten. And I think it is definitely fair to read this basically as a Trump vote. As you say, his name was not on the ballot here. And these were voters who, in very, very unusually high numbers, chose this option. It seems clear that's basically a Trump vote there. And you could read this as Trump crushing Haley.
So, Steve, to be clear, you can vote in the primary and again in the caucus, right? So Trump voters could have showed up to deliver a message to Nikki Haley and show up again for the caucus.
Time for the hot topic of the hour. An upset for Nikki Haley in Nevada last night, losing the primary to no one. Almost 63% of Republican primary voters selected none of these candidates instead of selecting Haley. Her campaign team trying to soften the blow. Watch.
We have not spent a dime nor an ounce of energy on Nevada. We made the decision early on that we were not going to pay $55,000 to a Trump entity that, to participate in a process that was rigged for Trump.
Former President Trump's name was not on the Nevada primary ballot. Instead, he will take part in the caucuses tomorrow. President Biden, meanwhile, took the win for Nevada for the Democrat Party. Amber, your reaction?
Donald Trump is looking for a win in Nevada tomorrow when he takes part in the state's GOP caucuses. That one actually awards delegates.
That's right. Now, he did not appear on the ballot in yesterday's primary race, but Nikki Haley still didn't finish first there. CBS News projects the majority of voters supported the option dubbed none of these candidates, far ahead of Haley. It's a ballot option required by state law. Meanwhile, Joe Biden won the Democratic primary in a landslide.
In response to the results, Haley's campaign says, quote, Even Donald Trump knows that when you pay penny slots, the House wins. We didn't bother to play a game rigged for Trump. We're full steam ahead in South Carolina and beyond.
Well, Nevada's presidential preference primary is now in the books, although some mail-in ballots still have to be counted. President Joe Biden easily won the Democratic race with nearly 90% of the vote, but the real upset came in the Republican contest when Nikki Haley lost to none of these candidates by more than a 2-to-1 margin. Senior political reporter Steve Sebelius is here to break down the results for us.
Yeah, that loss has really got to hurt for Nikki Haley. I mean,
sure.
She's saying that the process was rigged. Still, she filed for the primary,
right.
As did former Vice President Mike Pence and South Carolina Senator Tim Scott. Haley ran in the primary because she knew if she filed for the Thursday's Republican caucus, she would have lost to Donald Trump. Instead, Trump jumped on what he called Haley's humiliating, embarrassing defeat. Many top Republicans said they would vote for none in the primary and then caucus on Thursday for Trump.